And for the Great Danes, undoubtedly, playing the type of schedule they are. You talked about a Duquesne and Ohio State. You know, steel sharpens steel, and in playing against teams of that caliber will only do great things for the Great Danes.
Thomas dribbling inside, showcasing a couple of moves as he's able to get that one off the glass and good.
Now that's something I haven't seen from Deshaun Thomas a lot in previous years. He's really worked this summer on his ball handling. You saw it right there, splitting a couple defenders, getting into traffic, and able to finish off the glass.
The Buckeyes have now opened up a 10-point lead over Albany. Closing 2 minutes of this first half. As Yachty not able to get that one to go. And now a turnover. Buckeyes will get back possession.
The Buckeyes need to keep doing a good job of boxing out on the defensive end. Right there, you saw Sam Rowley come in essentially unmolested all the way from the perimeter and almost got a tip dunk on that play. Buckeyes need to really continue to box out and make contact every time that shot goes up.
Over to Thomas now, another three-pointer. That one off the mark, but Ross able to collect the offensive rebound. Thomas will now go inside, jumper, good.
You get the feel right now that Deshaun Thomas is like the all-star in the YMCA league. Like he can just do whatever he wants. It looks so easy for him right now. He is so skilled offensively, it's incredible.
30-second timeout taken by Albany. We will keep it right here. 1:15 to go in the first half. Ohio State leading Albany 36-24 alongside Matt Sylvester. I'm Charlie Daniels. So glad that we could have you along for this presentation of men's basketball here on the Big Ten Network. And Matt, we were talking about how Aaron Kraft and Deshaun Thomas really need to step up with the departures of William Buford and Jared Solinger. So far, so good. Thomas with 16 points, Kraft with 11.
Yeah, and you like to see that from your leaders. There's no question about it. And Aaron Kraft, just such an unbelievable point guard. I mean, when you talk about a guy you want to play with, imagine playing with a guy that gives that type of intensity on the defensive end, loves to share the ball on the offensive end, and just everything he brings to the table, the smartness, the grittiness, the fact that he's such an unbelievable winner. I can't say enough about Aaron Kraft, and he's just a dream teammate for any player.
Set the single season school record for steals last year. Kraft did with 98 during the 2011-2012 season.
And he's actually amassed 171 career steals in 2 years, which is number 2 already all time in Ohio State history. So he is going to shatter those records that will never be touched again.
You could make the argument that Kraft has the fastest hands east of the Mississippi River.
There's no question about it. Absolutely not. Don't want to get in a gunfight with Aaron Kraft if you were a Cowboy.
Mike Black driving down the lane. He was fouled on his way, so he will head to the line to shoot a pair. Not to mention the fact, too, with how smart Aaron Kraft was. We were talking about that earlier on in the broadcast. He would probably find a way to outfox you as well.
No, there's no question about it. And, you know, Aaron Kraft, good problem to have. Do I want to be one day potentially a professional basketball player? Do I want to be a doctor? Either way, the future's so bright for Aaron Kraft. And it's funny, I was talking with Coach Mott a couple weeks ago, and there's a high school kid from down in my alma mater, Moeller High School, and I told him, this kid really reminds me of Aaron. You might want to check him out at some point. The kid's only a sophomore. And Thad Matta's response was, if he's 1/10 as good as Aaron Kraft is, I'll offer him 2 scholarships. So that tells you about how Thad Matta feels about his leader and Aaron Kraft.
Second free throw by Black is good, so he will split the pair. Peter Hooley comes back into the ball game. Mike Black will take a breather on the Albany bench.
Albany slides back into this full court 2-2-1 pressure. Only a minute to go and a half. They're trying to take a little bit of time off the clock and hopefully try to shorten some of those possessions by Ohio State.
36-25. Buckeyes on top of Albany, looking to end this first half on a good note. Kraft dribbling inside. Nice pass to Smith Jr. He wasn't able to finish at the rim that time, but there again, that court awareness by Kraft on display, Matt.
It really is. And again, when Aaron Kraft can get a piece of the paint, when he can get to the middle of the defense with the way he can distribute, it's over. You can't let that guy get into the middle of your defense. And now with the extending of his range, I don't know how you guard the guy.
Albany on the inside, kick out to Hooley for 3. That one no good. As LaQuinton Ross grabs the rebound for the Buckeyes.
Buckeyes will hold for 1 shot here, obviously.
What do you do in this situation, Matt?
I think you give it to Aaron Kraft, you set a ball screen, and you get out of the way.
Kraft driving towards the rim, kick out for 3, and Thomas able to nail it. No, Wenzel Smith Jr. That's a good way to end the first half. The Buckeyes, a nice run. to open up a large lead over the Albany Great Danes, who had given the Buckeyes a challenge early on in this game. They will head to the locker room with a 39-25 lead over Albany. You're watching men's basketball here on the Big Ten Network. Back here at Value City Arena alongside the former Buckeye captain Matt Sylvester, I am Charlie Danis, and Matt, we have been treated to a good game here so far here at the arena. The Buckeyes, they got off to a slow start against the Albany Great Danes, but ever since then, they've been able to turn it on offensively.
They certainly have, and it all culminates from that timeout Coach Mata called where it really got after him. And the funny part about that is that Coach Mata, having played for him, gets fired up so infrequently that when he does, it really hits you. You're like, oh man, this guy's actually pretty scary when he wants to be. So ever since that timeout, they went on a 20-0 run to end the half, which was huge. And I think it was done solely from the defensive intensity being picked up. And if you really look at the numbers and you get into it, 10 more shot attempts for the Buckeyes, and it comes from the turnovers. 9 turnovers for the Great Danes, 3 for the Buckeyes, and really just been a case, in my opinion, of too big, too strong, too talented for the Buckeyes against the Great Danes.
Aaron Kraft with that driving layup. He is at 11 points on the game. Mike Black, he's also been quite impressive. 14 points for the Great Danes. Albany was able to keep themselves in this game by making a couple of three-pointers. Sam Thompson with the rejection right there. Here's the play that really changed everything. Mike Black was able to score on a wide-open layup. Thad Mata called a timeout, and from there, Matt, everything just started to heat up for the Buckeyes, including Deshaun Thomas.
It really did, yeah, Deshaun Thomas, and I'm really impressed by the way that the Buckeyes are shooting the three-point ball right now, and what I really like is that they're not taking bad three-point shots. Everything they get has been assisted. It's been a wide-open shot. It's been a real confident step in and knock it down type of shot. 3 for 7 from three-point line for Deshaun Thomas, 2 for 4 for Kraft, 2 for 4 for Lenzel. They're really shooting it with a high clip right now, 7 for 14 in the half, at 50%. Obviously, if they could do that the whole year, it would be incredible, but tonight they're really shooting it in.
And then Lenzel Smith Jr. able to end the first half on a great note, knocking down that three-pointer. Deshaun Thomas got off to a slow start, but how about this? After that slow start, 16 first half points. He's playing like that preseason All-American billing that people were giving him at the beginning of this year.
He really is, Charlie. He's a guy that he's earned the right to play with a ton of confidence. He is the scorer on this team. He averaged 16 a game last year, and they're going to look for him to score a bunch this year. And he showed us every indication that he's going to. 25 against Walsh. What's he have tonight? He's, oh boy. 16 tonight already in the first half. So he's a guy that's going to be looked upon to score, and he's earned the right to step into those shots with confidence, and I look for him to do that the whole year.
And it's interesting, we were bringing this up before the broadcast, Matt. You want Deshaun Thomas to be your leading scorer, to be able to want to take all those shots, but at the same time, you sometimes want your star players to be a little unselfish. Where's that fine line?
I think the fine line comes in Aaron Kraft, and also Shannon Scott. They're both such incredible defenders, such incredible distributors. They really set the table for their teammates, and they're going to make sure these guys are taking good shots as the leader of this team.
Looking at the first half stats from this game, Albany still with the rebounding advantage, 19-16 to be exact. They shot 20% from three-point range, 35% from the field. Meanwhile, Ohio State, 50% from downtown, 46% from the field. And they only attempted 7 shots from the charity stripe, knocking down 4 of them. Albany 9 of 13 from the free throw line. Kraft was able to get his hand on that ball. It'll go out of bounds, and it will stay with the Great Danes.
Yeah, let's see what the Buckeyes, see if they can maintain this defensive intensity that they've carried out through the past 10 minutes of the first half, And another couple telling stats: assists 8-2 in the way of the Buckeyes, turnovers 9-3 also in the way of the Buckeyes. So they're right now just dominating both ends of the ball.
Jason Guerrier had some trouble getting the ball in bounds, so Albany will call a timeout. Will Brown, in his 12th overall season with the program, 10 seasons as a full-time head coach, and now it's being converted into a full timeout. 19:47 to go in the second half. Buckeyes leading Albany 39-25. This is men's basketball here on the Big Ten Network. Back here in Columbus, 1947 to go in the second half. Ohio State leading Albany 39-25. Today is Veterans Day, and we want to thank all of those serving this great country of ours. They allow us to do the easiest of things here in this great country, and Matt, we just can't thank them enough.
No, we really can't. And, you know, and I always try to make it a point that whenever I see somebody that's in the armed services, someone that is serving our country, I like to tell them, I appreciate what you do, because, and I really mean it, because without them, like you said, none of this would be possible. So big shout out to those guys.
Buckeyes wearing their camouflage uniforms as the Buckeyes will get the ball back after that another turnover for Albany. These would have been the uniforms that the Buckeyes would have worn in the Carrier Classic down in Charleston, South Carolina, but unfortunately they weren't able to play that game against the Marquette Golden Eagles because of a lot of condensation on the court. It was way too slippery for either team to play that game, so they decided to call off the game. Better to be safe than to be sorry.
There's no question about that. And, you know, just through talking with Thad Matta before the game, he like us, shares the sentiment that a lot of respect to the veterans and people that have served this country. And he just kept talking about what an unbelievable experience it was to be down there in Charleston, to be aboard the USS Yorktown, and just to see what those people go through on a daily basis. And I think it just really opened up his eyes and gave him a new appreciation for the men and women that serve this country.
Sam Thompson kicks it back out to Thomas, and Thomas continues his hot shooting ways from downtown.
And again, not to beat a dead horse, but I love the way the Buckeyes are getting their three-point shots. Everything is assisted. It's a hockey assist, the assist that leads to the assist. I mean, they're just sharing the ball. They're playing the right way, and no one is forcing up shots, which is great to see.
Meanwhile, Mike Black scooting down the lane, not able to get that one to go as Ravenel collects the rebound for the Buckeyes. Here comes Kraft down the other way. He's pushing it, and Thomas not able to get the shooter's roll. Thomas was trying to secure the offensive rebound. He wasn't able to, however. Ball will stay with Ohio State.
Alternate possession, Ohio State.
Good push there by Aaron Kraft and a good little drop to Lenzel. You'd like to see Lenzel use the right hand there on the right side of the rim, and came up a little bit short on the finish, and see if the Buckeyes can get it back.
One final note on the Carrier Classic. Obviously, both teams would have liked to have played that game on the deck of the USS Yorktown, but you got to think, Matt, that the overall experience going down there, being with the servicemen and women, that was much greater than playing the actual game.
I think it really was. And again, I told you what Thad Matta said. Dan Wallenberg shared kind of the same sentiment, that it was just such an eye-opening experience being on that ship, seeing what those people go through on a daily basis. And I think it was rewarding whether the game was played or not for all involved.
Dan Wallenberg, the sports information director for the Ohio State men's basketball team. Giatti gives it off to Puck. Puck trying to go after Ravenel, and foul is going to be called. Looks like on Thompson.
Ohio State now 30.
Actually, Evan Ravenel will be tacked with that foul. Each team with one personal team foul so far to start off this second half of play.
Right now, the Buckeyes doing a little bit too much reaching, too much slapping on the defensive end. They need to get a little bit more solid here and just play some good position defense.
Blake Metcalf receives the inbound. Puck out near the logo as he will hand it off to Giatti. It's now back in the hands of Black. Giatti with the jumper, and he's able to knock that one down.
That was a great 25 seconds of defense right there. And then a little bit of a mental error by Deshaun Thomas. There was a ball screen set. He didn't react. He didn't hedge the ball screen. Was kind of just a statue there. And as a result, a wide open jump shot for the Great Danes.
Kraft with another three-point attempt. He's able to knock that one down. I got to tell you, Matt, Kraft has been looking pretty good with that three-point shot. You talked earlier in the broadcast about how he's been trying to work out a hitch.
And I think he really has. His shot is looking so good, and he's looking so confidently with it. And again, I think, like we alluded to before, if he can consistently knock down that three-point shot, which it looks like he has been, I don't know what you do with him on the defensive end. I don't know how you stop this guy. And you combine that with the fact that he's such a good passer, he is just going to be a tremendous player this year.
Kraft able to tip that one out to Lenzel Smith Jr. Lenzel Smith Jr. lays it up with the left hand.
Great unselfish play there by Sam Thompson. Probably could have taken it himself, but made the easy play, dropped it to Lenzel Smith for the finish.
Buckeyes have now opened up a 20-point lead over the Albany Great Danes, 47-27. And now a timeout will be taken by Albany. 30-second timeout, so we will keep it right here at the arena. Deshaun Thomas, 19 points. Kraft also with 14 points. Both players have been getting it done, especially from beyond the arc. And now this is what Thad Mott is expecting from his team, Matt. They got off to a slow start. It seemed like Albany was playing with a lot more energy that time, but man, the momentum swing has been huge for the Scarlet and Gray.
You're right, Charlie, they really have. And again, not to be redundant, I really think it stems from that timeout that Coach Mata took deep into the first half, where he really got after his guys, because it has been a new team, especially on the defensive end for the Ohio State Buckeyes since that point. Right there, Coach Brown, the coach for the Great Danes, called a timeout with a disgusted look in his face, and I don't think he thinks that his guys have matched that intensity, but I don't know if they're capable of doing it when the Buckeyes are playing with this type of fire.
Jason Guerrier. Inbounds at the Mike Black. Black trying to work against Kraft. He'll drive the lane, and looks like another foul will be called against Ravenel, as Black was able to get contact while driving down that lane.
Don't think Coach Mata really agreed with that call there. Mike Black got into the lane, and from what I could see from this angle, it was just a good wall up by Evan Ravenel. He went straight up and forced Black to take a shot over the extended arms of a big guy, and but nonetheless got the foul called on him. But I like to see that from Evan Ravenel. That's why you teach your big guys. If it's not an easy shot block, if you can't go get it, just wall up, what you call it. Make them force them to make a shot, over the extended hands.
Guerrier will inbound this ball for the Great Danes. He's able to get it into the hands of Yachty. Now back to Guerrier for three. Not able to knock that one down. Thompson with the rebound for Ohio State. Shannon Scott tried to get it to Thompson, but it ends up in the hands of Guerrier. Great Danes trying to run the point. Guerrier going up for the shot. Missed it, but he was fouled on the attempt.
Thad Mata, kind of a mythified look on his face there when Shannon Scott took it into the lane and kind of just handed it over to the Great Danes. Kind of a stupefied look on his face there, but you like to see the Buckeyes be aggressive, try to get into the lane. Shannon Scott there just a little bit out of control, needs to come to a good jump stop, a 1-2 stop, and make a pass to the open teammate. But you like the Buckeyes' aggressiveness on the offensive lane and attacking the middle of the defense.
Guerrier is 70% free throw shooter last season, as he's able to knock down that first attempt. Albany picked to finish fourth in the American East Conference. Meanwhile, Ohio State ranked in the top four. They were picked to finish third in the Big Ten, according to all the preseason prognosticators, behind Indiana and Michigan.
I guess that right there tells you a little bit about the Big Ten Conference this year. They're picked third in the league, but fourth in the country. I don't know how that works out, but what a grinder the Big Ten's going to be this year, as it always is.
We'll get to that much later in our broadcast. So much talent around the conference, as that shot knocked down by Guerrier.
Not very good transition defense there by the Buckeyes. Had a few guys walking down the floor. Everybody didn't sprint to that lane and start building out that wall, and as a result, got a wide open three-point look for Guerrier.
Kraft now with the ball, gives it off to Scott. Thompson trying to drive the lane, but Thomas not able to handle the pass cleanly. Turnover for Ohio State as Yachty comes up with the ball for the Great Danes. Guerrier looked as though there might have been contact on that shot, but no call. Thomas over to Thompson, who slams it home.
Really like to see Deshaun Thomas, and I think they're going to, Coach Mata's going to afford Deshaun Thompson that luxury this year, that if he gets a rebound and he's got some open court ahead of him, he wants Deshaun Thomas to push that ball and make a play, and I think that says something, speaks to the development of Deshaun Thomas, especially with his ball handling.
Over to Guerrier, inside to Metcalf. Metcalf not able to get that shot to go, but another foul that will be called on Ohio State, but that will take us into another timeout on the floor. We have 15-12 remaining here at Value City Arena, and the Buckeyes possess a 49-32 lead over the Albany Great Danes. You're watching men's basketball here on the Big Ten Network. Value City is the venue. Ohio State is leading the Albany Great Danes 49-32 alongside Matt Sylvester. I'm Charlie Dan. So glad that we could have you along for the ride. The Buckeyes really starting to open things up here, Matt, as they are starting to pull away from Albany. Deshaun Thomas continues to impress offensively, 19 points. Meanwhile, Albany having a hard time getting back into this game. They've really struggled from three-point range, only shooting 23% from beyond the arc.
They have, Charlie, and I think you have to attribute that all to the Ohio State defense. And they've really just turned up the pressure, and Albany has just not reacted very well. And I think that's why you saw Coach Brown with such a disturbed look on his face at the last time out. But right now, to me, the story of the game, just a few of the numbers: 12 assists for the Buckeyes, 3 for the Great Danes. The Buckeyes sharing the ball, playing the right way. They got a bunch of unselfish guys, and I just love the way they play together.
Amir Williams has come back onto the floor for the Buckeyes. Shannon Scott currently running the point.
Right now, Albany shifted back into that 2-3, and I don't think the goal can be force the Buckeyes to hit perimeter shots because they've been doing that all night. But nonetheless, the 2-3 forced Deshaun Thomas into a tough corner 3 there, and they got what they wanted out of that possession.
So now Albany back with the basketball. Mike Black currently on the bench for the Great Danes. He certainly had a good game, 14 points on the afternoon. Gotti now working against Scott. He'll drive the lane, floater, no good. As Scott comes away with the rebound, but a foul is going to be called. Gotti's going to be called for the foul.
Yeah, Yachty got caught there pushing off on the rebound on Amir Williams. Amir went up to grab it. Yachty got the hand in the lower midsection of the back and gave him a shove. Got caught.
LaQuinton Ross will now come in. He'll replace Thompson on the floor.
Ross replacing Sam Thompson.
Now, this is an interesting substitution for me. Anytime Sam Thompson comes off the floor and LaQuinton Ross goes in. LaQuinton Ross not known as the defender that Sam Thompson is, but LaQuinton Ross very much an offensive presence on the floor. We'll see if the Buckeyes can get him going with some open shots.
Shannon Scott flipped all the way over to Ross, now back to Thomas. Kraft for 3, gets it to go.
Boy, Aaron Kraft, just no hesitation on that jumper. Last year would kind of overthink it at times, penetrate when he should have shot, and did some stuff on the offensive end that wasn't very characteristic of him. But this year, really stepping into that shot with confidence and knocking it down. A pleasure to see for Buckeye fans.
17 points for the junior from Findlay, Ohio. He has given his team a huge lift today from the outside, as has Deshaun Thomas. Ball will go out of bounds, and it will be Buckeye ball.
Great defense there by Shannon Scott. That's another thing Shannon Scott brings to the table. When him and Aaron Kraft are out there on the perimeter together, that is one very tough backcourt, defensively. Those guys can both really move their feet, stay in front of guys. And now Shannon Scott running the point guard, Aaron Kraft off the ball, which I like to see, especially with the improved jump shot of Aaron Kraft.
Mike Black checks back into the ball game for the Great Danes. Meanwhile, the Buckeyes back on offense. And Thomas trying to feed it inside to Amir Williams. Like we talked about at the top of the broadcast, Matt, Amir Williams, loads of talent, but still a work in progress.
He very much is a work in progress. And again, I think a lot of it comes to the fact that he doesn't have a lot of game experience, and you can't really quantify, you can't put a price tag on what it means to have that game experience. And for him, it's going to be kind of a learning on the job process this year, but I really think he gets it, and the harder he plays, I think the better for the Buckeyes.
Scott now trying to get it inside to Williams, who wasn't able to handle that pass cleanly. Buckeyes retain possession, however. Ross kick out to Scott. Kraft now back out to LaQuinton Ross. He'll let loose a 3 and hit.
Great ball movement there by the Buckeyes. Shannon Scott got in the lane. Aaron Kraft got in the lane. Just multiple guys penetrating, hitting the open man, and you like to see LaQuinton Ross stepping into a wide open 3, knocking it down.
5 assists for Kraft on the afternoon. Matchup of 3s as DJ Evans not able to hit that jumper, but the offensive putback is good.
Yeah, Buckeyes got to do a better job, as we kind of alluded to in the first half, and they're still getting out-rebounded And that's something that could come back and bite them in the butt later in the season. But on that possession, great job by the Danes getting to the glass.
Ross now trying to drive inside. He'll give it back to Kraft. And now Thomas, he was fouled on the play by number 14, Sam Rowley. And that will lead us into another timeout on the floor. We have 11:49 to go here in the second half. The Buckeyes with a 20-point lead over the Albany Great Danes. This is men's basketball on the Big Ten Network. We're back here in the capital city of the Buckeye State, Columbus, Ohio. We got 11:49 to play here in this second half. Buckeyes with a 55-35 lead. Thad Matta in his 9th season as head coach of the Scarlet and Gray. And what an impressive resume of Matt in his 9 seasons here. Thad Matta has just done an amazing job of building up this Ohio State basketball program, and you can clearly see with the recent success.
He really has, and in my opinion, Coach Matta has put himself in that elite group of coaches, that top 5 coaches in the country. And I mean, what hasn't the guy done? 2 Final Fours, 3 consecutive Sweet 16 appearances, 5 Big Ten championships. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. All the National Players of the Year, the All Big Ten. I mean, it literally, the accolades that Coach Matta has brought to this university go on and on and on. And again, I had the pleasure of playing for Coach for 2 years. My senior year was 2005, 2006. We won the Big Ten outright, and quite honestly, it was a group that probably shouldn't have won it. But again, Thad Matta is such an unbelievable inspirer. He gives you that confidence. He gives you that belief. And, you know, we were a group that probably shouldn't have done a whole lot, and we ended up winning the league. And a year the league was pretty good outright. So, again, I mean, he took a group of yokels like us and turned us into champions. And there's a reason why he does it with the cream of the crop recruits.
And think about this. Thad Matta is only 45, although in recent years he's had to have dealt with many back issues.
He has, yeah. Coach Matta had a herniated disc, which he had surgery for a few years back, which resulted in some nerve damage. He's kind of got, you know, I guess you call it kind of the dropped foot, where he basically doesn't have feeling. And his right foot, I believe it is. And it's sad to see, because when I played for Coach, he was in, you know, before the back stuff, he was into triathlons. He ran all the time. He was active. He was the coach that would dive on the floor during practice to prove a point. I mean, just, you know, it couldn't have happened to a worse, nothing could have happened worse to him than kind of what it did. But he's made the best of it, like he always does, and he's still here coaching and doing his thing.
Fed way ahead to Thomas. Thomas not able to convert the shot. LaQuinton Ross with the shot goes back up. He was fouled on the play, and he will go to the line to shoot a pair of free throws. We were talking early on in the game, some of the intriguing players as this season will go on for the Ohio State Buckeyes. Look no further than LaQuinton Ross. Here's a young man, Matt, a sophomore from Jackson, Mississippi. Wasn't able to join the team last year until December because he had to get a few things worked out, mainly of the academic variety.
Sure, and again, he out of high school was a top 5 recruit in the whole entire country. You know, I mean, so you know what kind of talent he's got already. And yeah, he had an issue where some of his credits didn't transfer. Nothing that was his fault, that he was underachieving academically. He had a few credits that didn't transfer, and as a result, wasn't eligible for last year. But you know, he got to study under some pretty good guys, and hopefully he takes that experience and he can turn it into a very productive season for the Buckeyes.
Albany back on offense as that shot not being able to convert, and traveling violation will be called as the Great Danes continue to turn the ball over. Really, Matt, if you look at the statistics, Ohio State has been able to break open this game 18 points off of turnovers.
Yeah, no question about it. And right now, actually, I think 14 turnovers at this point for the Great Danes. That is way too many for this point of the game. Most coaches like to stay around that 12 to 14 mark, kind of depending on who you ask. And right now, the Great Danes turning it over as a result of high pressure from the Buckeyes.
Lenzel Smith Jr. able to convert that shot. Here's a young man that came on late last season, had a great game against the Indiana Hoosiers when the Hoosiers came a-calling here at Value City Arena. Really turned up his game as well in the tournament, averaging double figures. He will prove to be a big offensive asset for the Buckeyes, I would imagine, Matt, this upcoming year.
I agree with you, Charlie. And the good thing about Lenzel is that his role, he isn't asked to be a scorer. So kind of anything Lenzel brings to the table offensively, I think is kind of an icing on the cake, even though he very much is a very capable scorer. What they love about Lenzel is his rebounding, his passion, his toughness on the defensive end, everything else, the intangibles he brings to the table. And anything he does offensively, the Buckeyes love.